Good morning. My name is Ann McNeil, and I am the master wealth builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life and business, utilizing these principles of success and personal achievement espoused by Napoleon Hill in this phenomenal book, Think and Grow Rich. Well, we want to welcome you to the Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live program, where every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, we come and we share with you these phenomenal principles and our stories and the stories of our guests and how we've been able to persist until we succeed with a spirit of excellence. Well, today we're doing that and having that conversation and talking about the principle of persistence. Now, we did ask the question, and we'd like to know in the chat as we welcome you to the program today. The question to start this program off is this: is persistence the first step to riches? If you can put your answer in the chat. And if you go to your book on the very first page, the author tells us that it is the eighth step to riches. Because you see, persistence is considered to be the sustained effort that is necessary for all of us to induce faith. And faith, being the second principle, continues to connect with all the other principles to give us our desire, whatever your definite chief aim or your purpose. But if you think about how do you persist until you succeed, hopefully with the spirit of excellence in every single area of your life, well, we're going to have a special conversation today with a very special guest, Miss Havilah Malone. But before we do that, we want to bring our our co-hosts to this conversation and introduce them as we prepare to talk about this phenomenal principle. So let me start with none other than Galen Bingham, and then I go to Peter, and of course, the person that has one name, Miss Pekin. Good morning, Galen. How are you this morning?
Fantastic. Great to be back. What a show to come back to. Talking about persistence, and we get to talk with one of my favorite people on the planet, Ms. Havilah Malone. I think she embodies persistence. The work that she's doing and the things that she's accomplished cannot be possible without persistence. And the one thing that I really like about this chapter is it talks about how without persistence, you will be defeated even before you start, and that when with persistence you will win. And there's a story in this chapter about how persistence is what's necessary to wake up from a nightmare. If you've ever had a nightmare
Yes.
while you're sleeping, you have to really persist. You have to really force yourself to get up and gain control of your muscles. Well, many of us are living a nightmare. And we want to get out. We want to feel like we're living our life as opposed to having these things happen to us. The key to this is persistence. So I can't wait to get into this conversation because this might not be the first step, but boy, I tell you, it's pretty important.
All right. And Dr. Peter James, good morning.
Good morning to you, Ann. Good morning to you, Galen. Galen, you already stole my thunder this morning as it relates to persistence. Very excited. Listen, I'm a fan of Havilah as well. I don't even know where to start with that conversation and what she's doing and then how it relates to persistence, but I'm excited to be here. My name is Dr. Peter A. James. I am the high performance coach. And listen, in this chapter of persistence from Napoleon Hill, he says something that really just caught my attention even today. And he said, persistence is a state of mind. And if you think about it, when we think about persistence, it's usually action oriented, right? But it's more than that. It's deeper than that. It's a mindset, as he's talking about it today. Hoping we dive into that a little bit, because I want to see how people's minds are continue to be persistent even before their actions are. So, Ann, it's going to be a great one today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Pekin, good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. This is the day that we all start to be persistent just by waking up. We decided that we are going to be here alive and listening to this program. I'm so excited. You know, the concept of persistence is so powerful for me because A line that Napoleon Hill writes is, most ideas are stillborn and need the breath of life injected into them.
Hmm.
This is one of the things that I have known for myself. I'm Sunday speaking to my dream client. Now, this is not just saying it's a dream client. I wrote in my dream book over 25 years ago that I would be a keynoter on this stage. 25 years of viewing, persistence, growing. It's gonna happen. Watch out, make it do it. This is what it is. Keep on going. When will it happen? When it's right. Persistence gets you to where you want to go if you're willing to inject your passion, your faith, commitment. And this book, notice, is what it's all about. So I'm excited to be here with my buddies, to be able to be with everybody watching. This is persistence on steroids. And when you meet Havilah, ooh, you are going to have some fun.
Well, what I'd like to do before we get to our special guest, we're going to talk about the 13 principles very quickly. And I am going to, I'm going to change the flow of the show right in the middle of it. Yes, I am. And I'm going to do that because I don't want Havilah to have to wait. And I don't want our guest to wait for her. And I'm not going to get into my Havilah Malone story, but what I will do is I will let's bring Havilah on, and let me just share with the audience just a little bit about Havilah Malone, the #1 best-selling author. Good morning, Havilah. Inspirational speaker, actress, multi-talented, millennial producer. I don't know if you sing, but
We'll shower singing now and then, you know.
okay. Well, Havilah's from Louisiana, and I met Havilah many years ago. I won't get into that, but we just want to welcome you to the program, Havilah, before we go into the 13 steps. And then when we come back, we're going to have you tell us your Havilah story, your first introductions to this book, and then we'll get into your persistence. And I am just very excited, and I want to thank you for accepting our invitation to join us. So with that, we're going to turn it back over to you, Galen, and have you share with us the awesome video. Thanks.
Yeah, so persistence is going to be the topic that we're talking about today. And there have been many books written about persistence alone. So really, really important topic. But this sits inside of a complete formula. And that's what makes Think and Grow Rich so powerful. As you heard Ann say earlier, this isn't even the first step. This is the 8th step. So as you listen to this and watch this video, think about how persistence really is the fuel to all these other steps, but it sits inside of an entire system that is geared to your success. So let's roll the video.
Number 1 is desire. Napoleon Hill said that everything starts with a burning desire, a compelling reason for doing what it is we do. Step 2 is faith, having belief in our ability to attain that which we desire. Step 3 is what we call autosuggestion. Autosuggestion simply means being very intentional about the things that we are pouring into our thoughts, into our brains, and into our consciousness. Our brains, our minds will receive everything automatically, but we have to work extra hard to make sure that the positive things are what we are feeding ourselves, because those positive thoughts are going to turn into positive actions. Step number 4 is specialized knowledge. No one person knows everything, even about whatever their particular area of expertise might be. And the value of the MasterMind principle is using the specialized knowledge of other people. Step number 5 is imagination, the workshop of the mind. Everything starts with our imagination and our thoughts, the burning desire to transform those thoughts into our reality. In order to do that, we have to take a look at step 6, which is organized planning. That is how we crystallize our desire into action, organizing ourselves. Having the thought and not acting on the thought isn't going to get us anywhere. We have the thought, we go through the organized planning to transform that thought into action. Step number 7 is decision. What Napoleon Hill said is the mastery of procrastination. Napoleon Hill said that the antidote to procrastination is simply to make a decision and then move on that decision. Step 8 is persistence. We have to have a sustained effort which is induced by our faith in order to achieve our goals. One of Napoleon Hill's books I love, even the title, 3 Feet from Gold. Those people who became rich during the gold rush in the wild, wild west days didn't do that because they were necessarily smarter or had better information than anyone else. It's because they stayed just a little bit longer. Sometimes people left when they were just literally 3 feet from gold. So hanging in there, being persistent, is step number 8. Step number 9, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. None of us can accomplish anything on our own. Everybody, I don't care who you are, from the most prominent person to the person who might be considered the lowest on the totem pole, everybody has someone who helped them get to where they are. And the power of the mastermind is being able to use those influences around us. Use the thoughts, use the knowledge, use the exploration of other people to help us in achieving our goal. Step number 10, the mystery of sex transmutation. This title can be a little confusing, but essentially what the mystery of sex transmutation means is that we oftentimes in our society think of sex as being purely physical. It is absolutely physical, but what Napoleon Hill teaches us is that sex also has an emotional element, and that sex is the strongest of our desires. That if we can take our sexual energy, transform that into positive, creative influences, it can propel us to new heights. And so we spend quite a bit of time talking about the mystery of step 10, which is sex transmutation. Step number 11 is the subconscious mind, which Napoleon Hill tells us is the connecting leap between our human mind and the infinite intelligence, the source of all thought, the source of all creativity. Conscious mind, we spent some time talking about how we use that through the influence of autosuggestion and what we're feeding into our mind. Step number 12, which is the brain, the broadcasting and receiving station of thought. Final step number 13, the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. This is the final step through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. The principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles.
All right. Good morning again, Havilah. First of all, I want everybody to know that you are on the west coast of these United States. And so for some of us that are complaining about it's early, it is really early where you are. So thank you. Gracing us. Yes, with your presence so early in the morning. But let's get into your story. Can you share with our audience and tell us about your first introduction? I would say to this principle, and then we'll go backwards and we'll talk about how did you get here? Because I think that one of the most amazing things about you that most people don't know, you graduated at age 19 or something like that. I'm not going to get into that. You can share that part of your story, but I say that because you really do epitomize this principle of persistence. And so share with us your first introduction to this principle.
My first introduction to this principle was probably before I even knew that this principle existed, which was in childhood. My mom used to always tell me that I had a tenacity about me, the spirit that just if I set my mind to something, then I wasn't going to give up until I got it, even to the point of I would be as a small child in the living room and say there was something I was playing with and my mom would come and take it from me and set it somewhere else, and she would try to redirect my attention or my focus to new direction, and I would just kind of patiently wait until she, went on about her business, and then I would go back and get that thing that I wanted originally. So having that desire, which is that first step, that thing that you really want, and keeping your mind focused on that and continuing on no matter what the obstacles are that come before you, I think it's something that was a part of my DNA, a part of my makeup. But the beautiful thing about persistence, it's a state of mind, and it's something that can be cultivated over time. And I was first introduced to Napoleon Hill actually through the Napoleon Hill Foundation's Renaissance Theater series, which was on a cassette tape. So we talking way back in the day, and it was a cassette tape that had it on two sides. One was the magic story, and then the other was um, uh, the richest man in Babylon, and it was a theater rendition of it through the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and those two stories truly started to shift my mindset and change my life, which then introduced me to Napoleon Hill's work. And I started to read Think and Grow Rich, because I was like, if this, which the Napoleon Hill Foundation is putting out there, which is so powerful and so significant with the information that it's sharing, there must be more. And so finding those 13 steps and those 13 principles of success have truly shifted my life, because they've given me a very strong foundation from which to work from, and a blueprint to go back to every time I am looking to accomplish a goal. And anything that we want is going to take persistence. It takes continually moving in the direction in which you want to go, no matter what adversities, no matter what defeats. And trust me, they come, but there's always that seed of equivalent benefit that's in it. And so we have to look for that and then continue on our path to get the things that we want, because we can have them.
Yeah, I'm curious, how old were you when you were introduced to the cassettes?
I had to be in my late teens, early 20s.
And the reason I ask that question is because I think that that's a target market, if you will, that age group that sometimes we overlook, and how the seeds are planted. And even Napoleon Hill talks about, he thinks that these principles really should be taught in the schools at a very early age. And many of us are examples of what's happened to us in our past as it relates to being persistent or not. Because if you learn early to just give up, and that's your story sharing with us, you didn't give up at a very early age, and you just continued to pursue that which you desired. And so now this book then shows up when?
So the book shows up for me, like I said, late teens, early 20s. And so much of my life I had been living up until that point before I was introduced to these principles. And then being introduced to the principles, I didn't apply them all in the beginning. I read this book a multitude of times before being able to consistently implement these principles within my life. But it was just like the seeds were being planted, and I would apply some of the information here and some of the information there, and I would find benefit in applying it. But it was just like, if you want the full benefit of what Napoleon Hill is offering through these 13 principles, then you have to utilize all 13 of the principles and put them to practice. Because it's not about, and he talks about it in the book, it's knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only power when we put it into application, when we are using the things that are being placed before us. So it's like being before a feast of food, and if you don't eat it, then you're not going to get the nourishment, you're not going to get the energy, the power from that beautiful, buffet that's before you. And that's what these 13 principles offer you, is to have the mindset that is necessary to continue to go through life no matter what's being thrown at you, and to be able to like almost put a shield around yourself that allows only the good to come in, the positivity to come in, and for you to translate that into a physical manifested goal. Or whether that's money, whether that's a position, whether that's loving relationships, no matter what your goals are, these principles allow you to be able to embody that and create that in your life. And that's why it's so powerful.
It's interesting. It's interesting the examples you use. There's an example of each one of those in the book, but I would be remiss if I did not begin to bring on our co-hosts one at a time because you know they're waiting, sitting, biting at the bit, literally, to get in on this conversation. So let me start with Dr. Peter James. Then I'm going to go to Begin and then Galen. So, Dr. Peter James.
Havilah, thank you again so much for joining us so early in the morning. I
My
truly appreciate
pleasure.
you. That being said, loving to hear your story about what the early parts of your life and how the book played into that. But page 173 and 174 of this book talk about how to develop persistence, and in it, Napoleon Hill talks about 4 specific ways: a definite purpose backed by burning desire for its fulfillment, a definite plan, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, and a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose. I'm a big fan of yours. I follow you on Instagram. Love to see your journey, your persistence as it exuberates every single day. But I want to ask you a question around number 4 specifically: a friendly alliance with one or more persons, a mastermind of sorts. What does that look like for Havilah, even in your day-to-day activities?
Oh my goodness. The mastermind principle is something that's so extremely important. And as I was sharing with Anne a little bit earlier, when I first started learning about these principles and putting them into practice, and I wasn't putting them all into practice. And the mastermind was the one that I wasn't putting into practice because I was afraid to ask people for help. I was afraid to, open up and share about my goals and dreams with people. And so I was like, oh, I don't really need that particular principle. However, as you continue to grow and learn the importance that each of these principles plays, the mastermind is extremely important because no one has all of the knowledge, all of the skill set, all of the information that is necessary to achieve great success in life. We need each other and the things that we can contribute to a project, to a goal, and bringing it into manifestation. And so when you bring together like-minded individuals who will work in a spirit of harmony together, then you get to create a third mind. So you have your mind, the person's mind, and then a third mind is created, which you get to start to feed off of their influence, their education, their resources, and off of each other's ideas. Like, it gets sparked. And so I learned very some hard lessons on the importance that it was to come together with individuals to create a mastermind, to be able to work on projects to fulfill them. So that's something that I incorporate in my consistently throughout my journey now. So I am a part of mastermind groups. I am a part of a Think and Grow Rich mastermind group. So we actually go through and study these principles. 2 groups in particular, one through the Black National Speakers Association, and then one that I created myself. And then I'm also doing a mastermind right now for, because right now one of my goals is to call in love within my life and to open that space for myself. So we're actually going through a book called Calling in the One. And so there's 3 of us who meet on a consistent basis, and we go through the materials of that book and apply the principles that are being taught to us through that particular methodology of really doing self-work in the area of calling in love. So it's really important that we come together with people who are like-minded, who will work with us in a spirit of harmony, and who will give of themselves freely to the process of growth towards a specific goal. And that's what a mastermind is.
I love the fact that despite the title, in spite of the title, Think and Grow Rich, you've shown that this mastermind principle from Think and Grow Rich can be applied to other areas of your life. Kudos to you for diving in and surrounding yourself with the like-minded individuals who can help you on that trajectory. I want to bring in one of my regular masterminders, Galen Bingham, Galen, I don't know, Have we named our third mind?
I don't know that we have or not. That sounds like an opportunity.
Good stuff.
Havilah, it's no secret you're one of my favorite people, and I'll tell you one of the things that I really like about what I have observed of you is that you are literally doing things that other folks say it's impossible. There is absolutely no way I can be on television and have my own syndicated television show. I mean, there's just no way that I can be in movies. There's no way that I can write a best-selling book. There's no way that I can be, just name it. And you don't seem to respect the impossibility of these things. And so my question is, first of all, what was your all-in moment when you first said, hey, there's something to this. Let me lean into this more. And what is it about this process that gives you the courage to not respect those things that other folks say are impossible? I mean, literally the disdain that you approach these things that other folks say that they want to do someday. I've got to know more about where that comes from.
Oh my God, what a great question. I love it. Where does the disdain come from for impossibility? You know what? And my moniker, my mantra that I live by, that I continue to promote, and I feel like it's a part of my life purpose, is to be proof of what's possible. And so often people are like, you know what? Well, I wish I could do that, and I want to be able to do that, but I just don't think that I can do that, or I don't think that it's a possibility. And for me, that is like, even hearing that something is an impossibility, something in my mind and my spirit just like clicks, and it's like, no, like, let's figure out how. Let's find a way to make it a reality, because we are so powerful. Like, we are spiritual beings having this human experience. We have access to the knowledge, to the power, to the ability to be able to do anything that our minds can conceive. Literally, Napoleon Hill says, if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. And I took that on very literally and very personally, that anything that my mind has the potential, the opportunity to even come up with, it has to be a possibility of bringing that into reality. I may not know how, and quite frankly, the how is not my job. The what is my job. Definiteness of purpose, knowing what one wants, is our job. And then once we have made a decision on what it is that we want, then we get to open up ourselves for infinite intelligence to start to bring to us the plan, bring to us the information, bring to us the resources as we take those inspired actions towards the goal. But you got to first believe that it's a possibility for you. And faith is something that can be cultivated. That's why it's like the principles in this book have been so profound in my life, because learning these principles, it was just like, wait, I can have anything that I want. Here is a blueprint. Here is a roadmap for me to be able to make this a reality, and to program my mind in such a way that allows these things to literally be magnetized towards me, to be attracted to me. So, and then once you start applying it and start to see the results, then can't nobody tell you nothing. You're like, oh, like what? Maybe it's not a possibility for you, but you can't speak for me.
Do you remember what was your, and I call it your all-in moment, the first time, to your point, where you executed, you used some of the principles, and oh my God, they actually worked. It worked. It wasn't just an idea. It wasn't just a nice book. This actually works. Do you remember that first all-in moment for you?
Oh my God, there's been so many of them. I don't even remember what the very first one was. There's been so many of them. I mean, like, where I would literally, oh my God. So there's one instance. My cousin was in the top 10 of the Miss USA pageant. And prior to that, like, I had absolutely zero pageant experience. Like, that wasn't something I did coming up. But of course, every young girl wants to be a princess and wants to, wear the crown and wear the beautiful gowns and all that good stuff. And I'm literally watching her journey, and I was sparked with this inspiration. And I was just like, I want that. Like, I want to be able to pursue that as a dream, make that my reality. Like, I want to be a queen. And I remember going, because every single time I have a new goal or something that I want to accomplish, I go back to Think and Grow Rich. And I will go back through the principles again, and I will use those 6 steps to riches to be able to create a plan towards whatever the new goal is. And I remember going back through that book, having that as my definite purpose, is to become a queen. And I started doing the research. So I formed a MasterMind around it. I got coaches around it. And in October 7th of 2017, I was crowned Miss Louisiana Universal 2018. Like, so something that like was an impossibility at a certain point in my life that I had no experience around, had no history around at all. But it was just like, I got sparked with, that's what I want. And I went after it and I got it. And I was just like, you know what? What else do I want? What else can I conjure up in my mind? Can I, what else is on my list of like goals of things that I want that I can make a reality? Because I can have anything. Because I was that girl who had such low self-esteem. Like the person who sits before you today is not the same person you would have met 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago at all whatsoever. Because I have cultivated a new mindset, cultivated a new way of thinking and a new way of living based on these principles of success. That self-confidence formula that Napoleon Hill provides in Think and Grow Rich, I had to start to live and breathe that to be able to step into opportunities. And it's available to each and every one of us. I'm no unicorn. Like, the results seem unicorn-ish, but I'm no unicorn. Like, it's available to all of us. And that's the beauty and just the profound love that, like, Napoleon Hill, going through those 20 plus years of pulling together this information and putting it into a formula that we can literally pick up and read and apply and have anything we want.
Well, Pagine is bouncing in her seat, and that means that I will be in trouble if I don't let her into this conversation. Pagine, you've got to be loving what you're hearing. You got to love what you're hearing.
I'm bouncing my street because I am receiving, I am accepting, I am allowing all that is being blessed into me through this experience. Havilah, I always just love you so much, and love that we had the chance to talk and feel and know, right, that this works. It just works. It changes our life. But I have a question for you, because I think it's really, in the book, he writes on the 8 factors of persistence. He writes about habit, and that persistence is a direct result of habit. So if you would share your daily habits, because I just think it's important for people to experience that persistence doesn't just come and show up. It's a persistence of habit to infuse yourself. You said just now, you're not the same person you were 5 years ago. So if you would share, what is your daily habit, and what habits have you found yourself that you need to keep on nurturing, and how does that help you create the boundaries around the things that people say are impossible, so you know that they're possible for you? How do you use habits to do that?
That is such an amazing question. And so some of the habits that I have cultivated over the years is I own my morning. So the first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning, there are 2 motivational videos that I listen to that are located on YouTube, because I want to start feeding my mind. Les Brown had shared that the first thing when you wake up in the morning, your brain is operating at 20 wave cycles per second, which means you're the most impressionable right when you wake up in the morning, and then right before you fall asleep at nighttime. So those are the 2 most important parts of your day to start reprogramming your mind. And so I watch the 2 videos and then I go in and do my affirmations. And so I have a notebook, my Wonder Woman notebook, which is on the sofa. And my Wonder Woman notebook has in it the self-confidence formula, which I go through every single day. It has in it the Optimist Creed by Christian D. Larson, which I read every single day. I do the Oath of Manifestation. I do the Jabaz prayer, and I do a Leap Creed. And so I go through these affirmation statements because I am programming into myself the state of mind. Because again, persistence is something that can be cultivated. It is a state of mind. But how do you cultivate that? By what we feed ourselves. So I continue to feed myself on a daily basis. And then once I go through my affirmations, then I do a meditation. So I go into silence for about 15 minutes and just trying to get to a place of stillness to be able to just get grounded and to be able to control my mind by being able to let the thoughts just empty my mind, really, and so that I have control over it. Because as things happen throughout the day, it's easy to get caught up in what's going on, or maybe what didn't go right, or what this person is saying, or what's and it's kind of like, no, you get to control this space right here in your own mind. And so I program myself before going out and facing any of the things that may come at me, so that when things do happen, I'm able to better reframe those things into more positive into positive ways of looking at things. So I find it's really important for me to do it on a consistent basis. So what's one thing that I wish that I was a little bit better at and that I could continue to work on is getting more physically active, because I can find myself very like I'm in front of a computer, or I'm on a set, or I'm doing things that where I'm like, hey Havilah, you used to do a lot of hiking, you used to do a lot of like physical things, but it's kind of like within our pandemic world we've gotten kind of sedentary. And so that's something that I can definitely work on, is incorporating more physical activity, because it's mind, body, spirit. Like it all works together and in harmony. And I know when I'm more physically active, things flow better as well. So that's my area of work.
Well, I definitely know that is an area. We'll just be to create a mastermind. Okay, we're doing. Wake up, we're walking. Let's go. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about, because you're talking about the self-confidence formula, and within the formula, there's a formula. And what I have recognized in speaking to people, and certainly I had to look at myself. I too, it's so funny that you're talking about the things that you do. I too read the self-confidence formula, and I too do the Jabez prayer. And that my definite aim of life, I do it every single day. One of the things that I recognized was in the self-confidence formula, there's a formula. Napoleon Hill put a lot of formulas in there. So the one is a 30 minutes that he suggests to really see yourself as being who you choose to be. And so if you would just share, let's talk about the physical piece, right? What would you do in that self-confidence formula of those 30 minutes? How would you see yourself? And what activities would you do? What writings would you do so you could see yourself as the person that you choose to be? Not that you want to be, that you have decided. Well, obviously, if we're talking about this, it definitely means that it's already in you, right? Mm-hmm. So how would you take that away and do that so people can see what that looks like?
Certainly. So one of the pieces, so of course I look at my life in different aspects. So one is like career focus, relationships, my contribution. So there's different aspects of my life, my own physical health. And so I've created like a relationship vision. And so I literally wrote out like what my ideal relationship looks like. And so then when it's time for me, when I go into my meditation time as well, I will go in and visualize. So within the self-confidence formula, it asks you to take 30 minutes to be able to visualize the person that you intend to become. And so I will go in and visualize like all the aspects of that relationship, like us, walking along the beach together, us having a laugh over a dinner, us like doing things together. And I literally, it becomes so real within my mind that I can feel it. Like my body reacts to the images that I am allowing to go through my mind's eye. When it comes to, and of course, the version of myself that I see is this version that is extremely healthy. And like when we're walking on the beach, like I'm in my bikini and my abs are just like tight and right. And so it's kind of like all the things that or sometimes when I'm visualizing about career goals. So one of the things is, one of my career goals is to be a series regular as a prosecuting attorney on an extremely successful television series. And so I will envision myself on that set. I will see myself going through and reading through the script or whatever, having conversations with the director. I'll see myself like when they're saying like action and, us actually going through, the court scene. Like it will become so real for me that it's like I can feel my feet on that ground, that I can feel the air flowing. And so that's extremely important to me, is using that creative imagination, because that is a very powerful tool that we all have to be able to bring those, because it's what we feel and what we believe to be true that gets magnetized and brought to us, that we end up creating into reality. So the more tools that we can use to actually come into harmony with the things that we want, we will manifest it. And I have manifested because I was using that process. I did manifest a role. It was as a co-star as a lawyer on an extremely successful television series. And so I was like, wait, okay, so now I just need the next step to become a series regular. So I continue to utilize these, tools and formulas that Napoleon Hill gives us. And it allows you to feel and live your dream now. It's not about this thing that's off in the distance or off in the future. You can actually experience it now through using that visualization process.
I love this so much, and I love getting excited with you whenever we talk. It's just like this. Let's raise the bar, the energy. Let's make sure. So
Yeah.
I'm visualizing for you that he's showing up, walking down, or she's showing, whoever it is. There you are, sweetheart. I will see you later. You go slay as district attorney, and just make sure that you have dinner set up, because Ann, Galen, Peter, and Pegeen are showing up for dinner tonight. And, we're going to give them a banquet of the most delicious vegan produce. And we're all going to go hiking after that. Booyah. Right, Ann? Are you ready for dinner tonight?
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you so very much. I just want to remind everybody that may have come on a little late that we're actually talking with Havilah Malone. And I don't know if you know, in addition to her being a number one a best-selling author and so many phenomenal things about her, just want to just read a couple of more things about our friend and Havilah. You have just been blowing up this chat. Actually, let's do that. We want to thank everybody in the chat that's sharing this morning, because it is just uh, speechless, speechless, speechless. But Havilah has had over 12 million views on Goldcast as an inspirational speaker. She's also been a TV personality. You heard about her talk about becoming, I call her the Queen Havilah, but that's another story for another day. She is actually truly proof. She says it, but she is, and for those of us that know you, Havilah, we know you to be proof of what's possible, and you're demonstrating that today. Havilah has been featured in national television commercials. We've seen them. Yes, we have. And I could go on and on. She's been featured on Fox News, NBC, CBS, Huffington Post, and so many, many, many more. And I just wanted to just add that to this bio. So as our listeners are listening to you, and when you say that this is not the same person I was 5, 10, 15 years ago, I want to just encourage everybody. This is an example of what persistence can and will do if you are willing to persist toward your goal. And so we want to thank you so much for that, Havilah. We also really want to give a shout out for those people that have been making comments in the chat. We're going to ask them if they have any questions of you, Havilah, before we wrap up. So Lakeisha Poplar, Regina, Doretha, always. Um, Listen, I could go on and on. I don't want people to get mad. Lakeisha Poplar, Brittany, everybody that's sharing your comments. Havilah, we're going to ask you to give us, as we prepare to wrap up, we're going to ask you to give us any kind of program, book, anything that you are producing now you'd like to share. And we're going to have our co-hosts come back and talk a little bit about themselves and how people can connect with them. But as your friend for many years, and we've had you on the program a number of different times, and every time it's like it's the very first time. So we didn't get to talk about how we met. And I never want to assume that everybody know our story. And this is one of the reasons why I want to encourage all of you, whenever you have an opportunity to share, always start with your story. And that's why we ask Havilah about her story, because people see you right where you are. But if they don't know your story, they cannot really relate to the fact that this is an example of what persistence looks like. So Havilah, if you would share with us, please, if you have anything you're promoting, and then we're going to have our co-host come back on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's always such a pleasure to be able to connect and reconnect with you all, and especially to be able to talk about Think and Grow Rich, which is such a profound book. And speaking of, because Napoleon Hill did say that he wanted these principles of success to be given to children of all ages, because the earlier that we can start off with utilizing these principles of success, the better off our lives will be. And we have the foundation of these principles. And so I am the co-author of a book called The Amazing Adventures of Oliver Hill, which is the children's version of Think and Grow Rich, that was published by the Napoleon Hill Foundation. So it gives the children all 17 principles of success that Napoleon Hill ended up expanding into. So that's available on the Napoleon Hill Foundation website at naphill.org, or available on Amazon. And I also wanted to share with everyone about my newest book, which is called Rewriting a New History, A Spiritual Path to Audacious Authenticity and Healing. And this is for people who are on the search, you feel called to something deeper, like especially right now in the time that we're going through, that we are feeling so disconnected from each other and even within ourselves. How do we go on that deep spiritual path of understanding, of healing, to be able to connect with our higher selves? And this book goes into a very in-depth spiritual awakening that happened, and has principles that are available for you all to be able to apply to help along your journey of success as well. And so I'm just really grateful. And those books are available at Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, and a bookseller near you. So it's always important that we continue to feed our mind with things that will continue to help us to expand and to grow, because our potential is infinite, and we can be proof of what's possible in our lives. So thank you so much for having me today. Today was extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we'll go to Galen, Peter, and then Begin, please.
Yeah, another amazing conversation, and I had to resist every fiber not to be the main host for this conversation with Havilah, because just absolutely enjoy the growth that we have every time she's on. This has been just another opportunity to see how this process works for you, how this process can help you absolutely achieve whatever you decide is important in your life. My name is Galen Bingham. I'm the leadership strategist. I'm also host of the Whiskey, Jazz, and Leadership podcast. It's where we have real conversations about how do you achieve success. Not only do we tell you the whiskeys to drink, the jazz to listen to, we have amazing interviews with incredible leaders, and we are just in the process of launching season 2. We've got some amazing leaders already in the can. Miss Ann McNeil is going to be one of our episodes. We're going to have a great conversation with her, the chief customer officer for PepsiCo, the senior vice president of Hanes Innerwear. Just check us out on any platform. Type in Whiskey, Jazz, and Leadership. I double dog dare you to try us out at least once. And again, a great conversation. I'd love to hear from Miss Begin. Miss Begin, what do you have going on?
Wow, wow, wow. I love you, Galen. Well, I love you all, right? But I love how you always talk with such smooth jazz. To watch and listen to your podcast, I think it's fabulous. So my name is Pegeen. I'm excited because I'm announcing something called the Pegeen Club, PEGINE.club. And what I've done, you see how Havilah is so energetic. And I am coming in to you to talk about being confidently, be powerful, and be you. Imagine a daily message from me that shows up in your life to inspire you, uplift you, and give you the confidence to take on the day powerfully and confidently and authentically. This is it's actually, you're the first ones to all hear about it. And it's at Pegeen.club. It is a subscription that will come to you every single day to get energized, provoked, and excited. Golly, Havilah, golly, you are making me feel so ready to take on the world. Every time you're around, that's what happens. And I love you for it so much. And Dr. Peter James, share your brilliance. I love when he comes on because he's so doctor-like.
Thank you, Pegeen. Thank you so much. Great conversation today, Havilah. Again, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. And what I loved about your conversation is because the stories that you're able to share with us, when we can visualize them through you, they can become real for us. And I know those of us who are watching and those of us who are listening or watching on YouTube or Facebook or listening. Now, how does this apply to you? How do these Think and Grow Rich principles, specifically persistence, apply to you day in and day out? If you can think it, if you can dream it, it can become a reality. And that's what Havilah has said for us today. My name is Dr. Peter A. James. I am the high performance coach, helping you to shift your mindset. One of the things I want to also finish off with as we shift our mindset is, again, we talked about masterminds. We talked about an alliance. Partnering with like-minded individuals. Obviously, as the Think and Grow Rich Mastermind show, we also have an annual meeting that we attend to every single year, and this coming year is no different because in January we will be meeting in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida, to talk about what the new year will look like for you, but also reflect on where we have come. So I encourage you, if you have not had the ability to sign up for this phenomenal meeting, now is the time. Ann McNeil, now is your time.
Wow. Listen, I just had an aha when you did that introduction of the annual meeting. But Geen registered, Galen is registered, Peter's registered, and guess what? Havilah. Wow. January. Add it to your calendar. And every single person who's listening, Johnny Lloyd, thank you so much for always coming on and sharing with us virtually as you support us. Doretha, Miss Poplar, every single person who's in the chat, register. Wow, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Peter James, because sitting here listening to Havilah today, and Havilah and I go back a little bit, but I'm realizing that we each exemplify persistence in different ways. And so, what we want to do is encourage you to first of all start with that desire. Everything that Havilah talked about started with a dream, a desire from when she was a child and she wanted something she didn't give up, no matter if it was her mom. And then she went on to graduate from her university at 19 years old. Mm. Then she went on to be in corporate and excel and exceed and decided I can do more. And for many of us who've been on this journey with you, Havilah, we want to thank you for being proof of what's possible. And as I sit here and think about my own story and listening to your story and seeing what we all have in common of these principles, I want to challenge everybody. If you are looking for a place to be held accountable, join us here at the International Mastermind Association. We're creating a beta test group for accountability for groups. And you can go to internationalmasterminders.com with an S and express your desire there. But if you want to have greater clarity in every area of your life, you can connect with me and participate in our Clarity Mastermind that we host. We only meet once a month, but the exercises consist of basically a large percent, almost 100% of what we've heard from Havilah, from the self-confidence formula to having a daily date with yourself, to all of the different things that you can do to achieve that which you desire. And you can connect with me at annmcneil.com/coaching if you're interested in participating with that program. If you are interested in getting the 6 steps that Havilah talked about, you can text the word "and," that's ANN, at 55678. You can text the word "and," just put "and" in the chat and text it to the number 55678. This has been a phenomenal program. Havilah, if we can bring you back on, you have been a joy. And as always, we talked this week about this whole idea of being persistent, but also about having accountability. And so this I am seldom speechless. This is one of those times. So we want to thank all of our co-hosts for coming on as they smile, and then we're going to give you, Havilah, the very oh, Begin, where you wanted to say something. Oh,
I was just waving.
okay. but Havilah, gosh, 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many years ago Havilah was hosting this program for us. We did a series that took about, was it a year maybe it took us to walk through the book on Blog Talk.
Yeah.
Yes, it was 4 of us actually. And we came together as a mastermind, 4 of us, and we set a goal. And the goal we set was to go to get the certification from the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And in getting that certification, we took about a year. We met with each other to do the homework. And we used this platform through Blog Talk Radio to walk through the principles every single week. And the experience, and that was at least what, maybe 5 years ago, Havilah, maybe.
Good Lord. Wow. Yes.
5 or 6.
And we use the principles to actually embed the principles even further into us so that we can accomplish our goal. And we literally did it. We are certified leaders of the Napoleon Hill Foundation.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like anything that you put your mind to, that you can conceive, it is possible for you. And coming together in a mastermind, that is so powerful, because quite frankly, had we not all gotten together to do that together, I doubt I would have gotten through that program.
No, not at all. And so what we're doing is we're exhibiting the fact that we are all hashtag proof of what's possible. Now, what about each of you that's listening and watching? What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to do, to achieve? And like she said, it does not have to be money, but money's good now. Let's not. Okay. But what kind of material manifestation are you desiring? One of my favorite stories in this chapter, as we wrap up on time, is, I asked a question. Miss Simpson was married. This is a true and false question, so you can put your answer in the chat. Was Miss Simpson married to King George the Eighth? True or false? For those of you listening, put it in the chat. We want to know if you did, in fact, read the book, right? The principle. Was Miss Simpson married to King George the Eighth, and he gave up everything for her? True or false? Now, one of our co-hosts want to give the answer to that question. Is that true or false?
King Edward.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's false. It's false. It was not King George the Eighth. It was King Edward. He gave up everything for her. And so we want to challenge you. Read this book with us. Live in these principles. Let us be your mastermind that you meet with every single Saturday, holding you accountable. Yes, it's possible. That's why we come here. And so next Saturday, we will be your master class. And so we're going to put the JPEG up, but next Saturday, join us right here next Saturday for our Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live Masterclass. But until then, we're going to see you next week. And we want to just remind you, you have been listening to our Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live. And again, my name is Ann McNeil, and I am the Master Wealth Builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life and business. And we will see you next Saturday. Thank you.